All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are tackling a massive subject that honestly affects every single one of us right on our dinner plates. We're going to talk about a nutrient that is so misunderstood in the Indian diet, yet it holds the key to unlocking some of our biggest health challenges. Okay, let's get into it. I want to start with a number that should make all of us pause for a second. 60 crore. That's the estimated number of people in India who are currently overweight or obese. And look, this isn't just a number on a slide. It is a silent epidemic that's impacting nearly half our population, and it's setting the stage for a massive national health crisis. Now, what if I told you the solution to this crisis has been hiding in plain sight this whole time? Health educator Prashant Desai has this incredibly powerful idea that if we just fix our intake of one single nutrient, many of our most serious health issues, we're talking everything from obesity to diabetes, could actually start to solve themselves. And that nutrient? It's protein. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start by really getting a grip on the scale of India's health crisis. Then we're going to clear up some huge misunderstandings about protein. You won't believe this, but we'll even see what a cockroach can teach us about our own eating habits. From there, we get super practical with the daily playbook, we'll bust a really dangerous myth, and finally, we'll talk about how to look at food as an investment in your future. Okay, let's dive into this first part. We need to really understand the price we're paying for our current lifestyle and our eating habits, and the numbers are pretty sobering. So check this out. On average, a person born in India today can expect to live to be about 71 years old. But if you were born in a place like Hong Kong or Singapore, that number shoots up to 84 or 85. Think about that. That's a 12 to 15-year tax on your life just for being born here. And this has very little to do with genetics. It's almost all about lifestyle. So the billion-dollar question is why? Why is there such a massive gap? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is found right at the center of our culture, the traditional Indian thali. This table right here illustrates the problem perfectly. Let's say you have a typical vegetarian meal. A few rotis, some dal, some sabzi. You might only get around 18 grams of protein, but you're packing in a whopping 750 calories. Structurally, less than 10% of the energy in your meal is coming from protein. It's a high-calorie, low-protein trap that pretty much guarantees you're going to overeat just to feel full. All right, so let's move on and figure out how we can start to fix this. And it all begins with really understanding the hero of our story, protein itself, because we've been getting it wrong for way too long. The name itself tells you everything you need to know. When scientists first discovered this thing back in 1838, they named it protein. And that comes from the Greek word protos, which literally means primary or of first importance. They knew, even back then, that life itself springs from protein. Most of us, when we hear protein, we just think muscles, right? Bodybuilding. But its job is so much bigger than that. Protein is what creates critical hormones like insulin. It makes the enzymes that digest our food. It builds the antibodies that make up our immune system. It even creates the vehicles that carry nutrients through our blood. It is literally the scaffolding for your entire body. So how does it do all of this? Think of it like an alphabet. The English language, right, has 26 letters, and with them you can build millions of words. Well, protein has 20 letters, called amino acids. Your body is constantly arranging and rearranging these letters to build all the different protein words it needs to perform all those vital jobs we just talked about. Okay, now for a pretty wild story that perfectly shows just how deeply our bodies are hardwired to go looking for protein. And it all starts with a very unlikely teacher. I know, it sounds like the beginning of a bad joke, but it's a serious question. Scientists wanted to get to the bottom of what drives our appetite, and they chose one of the most resilient creatures on the planet, the cockroach, to find the answer. The experiment they set up was actually pretty simple. They took a bunch of cockroaches and split them into two groups. Group 1 got a diet that was high in protein, but low in carbs. Group 2 got the complete opposite, a diet that was really high in carbs, but super low in protein. And then they just let them eat as much as they wanted. The result was a massive breakthrough. The cockroaches on the high protein diet ate a normal amount and then just stopped. But the ones on the high carb, low protein diet, they just kept eating and eating and eating. They basically ate themselves into obesity. And why? Because their bodies were desperately searching for that one essential nutrient they weren't getting enough of: protein. And this is the crucial part. This experiment led to something called the protein leverage hypothesis. It's a fancy name for a simple but profound idea. All animals, from insects to us humans, are programmed to keep eating until we hit our protein target. So if our food is low in protein, we will unconsciously overeat calories trying to find it. This one idea explains exactly why that low-protein thali never leaves you feeling truly satisfied.
Okay, so that's the science. Now, let's get practical. How much protein do you actually need? And what are the smartest ways to get it? Let's build your personal playbook right now.
For years, the official guideline was just zero point 0.8 grams of protein for every kilogram you weigh. But newer, better science has shown that this is just the bare minimum to not get sick. It's not what's optimal. The new target for thriving is somewhere between 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram. So for a 70-kilo person, that's a huge jump from just 56 grams to a much healthier 84 to 112 grams every single day.
So how do you hit that higher number without just eating way more calories? It's all about making intelligent swaps. Instead of full-fat paneer, choosing low-fat paneer gives you way more protein for way fewer calories. Swapping a handful of almonds for roasted chana gives you the same protein hit for nearly 50 fewer calories. And this one's a game changer. Upgrading from regular curd to a thick yogurt like Greek yogurt or skyr can quadruple your protein for just a tiny bump in calories. These little changes add up incredibly fast. All right, before we wrap this up, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. There's one really pervasive, really dangerous myth that stops so many of us from getting the protein we need. It's time we bust it, once and for all, with science. Okay, let's break this down. The myth is that high-protein diets are bad for your kidneys. The scientific truth? For a person with healthy, functioning kidneys, there is zero, and I mean zero, evidence to support this. Study after study has shown that our kidneys are more than capable of handling it. Now, the super important caveat here is that this is not true for someone who already has a kidney problem. For them, yes, a high-protein diet can be harmful. But for the vast majority of us, it is perfectly safe.
Okay, so let's connect all these dots. What does this really mean for the quality of your life? Not just today, but for all the decades to come. Because this is about so much more than just food. It's about your future.
The end result of our chronic low-protein, high-carb diet has created this uniquely modern Indian problem called sarcobesity. It's this toxic mix of sarcopenia, which is muscle loss, and obesity, which is excess body fat. You're basically getting weaker on the inside while getting bigger on the outside. And this is what puts us at such a high risk for things like falls, fractures, and just a lower quality of life as we get older. So it all boils down to this one final question. Every single meal you eat is a choice. You can choose those high-carb, low-protein foods that are slowly, meal by meal, breaking your body down. Or you can choose to prioritize protein, to choose foods that are building you up, protecting your muscles, and investing in a stronger, healthier future. The choice is yours, 3 times a day. Thanks for watching.